Okay, so we're all living in this new world of generative AI, right? It's this incredible tool. It honestly feels like a superpower sometimes. But when it comes to school, it brings up this massive, unavoidable question. What does it even mean to do your own work anymore? So let's try and figure out how to navigate all this together.
I mean, let's be totally honest here. This quote, it gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? The temptation is, wow, it's powerful. When a machine can spit out a pretty good essay in, what, the time it takes to make a coffee? Yeah, you're going to start questioning the old way of doing things. It's only natural.
And that is exactly what we're going to get into. We're going to break down the official rules, the stuff you have to know. We'll look at the hidden risks of using AI. But most importantly, we're going to talk about the real, powerful reasons why your voice and, even your own struggle are still your biggest strengths.
All right, first things first. Let's just get one thing straight. This AI stuff, it's not a fad. It's not going anywhere. It is a permanent part of our world now, and that 100% includes school. We can't just stick our heads in the sand and pretend it's not here. We've got to face it head on.
Just think about that for a second. The way we look for information has totally changed. I mean, for a lot of students, the first place they go isn't Google anymore. It's a chat with an AI. That changes everything. And it means we need a whole new set of skills and a totally new way of thinking about our responsibilities.
So this new reality, it kind of forces us to take a step back and ask a really basic question. What do we even mean when we say academic integrity? Because it's not just some list of rules designed to keep you from getting in trouble. No, it's way more personal than that.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this one simple but really powerful idea: honesty. It's not about being scared of getting caught. It's just about being truthful. Truthful about what you know and what you've actually made yourself. It's like your own personal code of conduct as a student.
And that idea of creating your own work, it flows right from that idea of honesty. It's about being proud of what you brought to the table, your unique contribution. Look, even if you're working with others or building on someone else's research, that final thing, the way you piece it all together, that part has to be genuinely, authentically yours. And this quote, wow, it just nails the bigger picture. This isn't just about getting a good grade on one paper. It's about building a world where a degree actually means something, where an expert is a real expert, and where things are actually fair. When you think about it like that, the stakes are incredibly high.
Okay, so we've talked about the why. We get the philosophy. Now let's get into the what. Because beyond all the personal ethics stuff, there are some very real, very specific rules you absolutely have to know about. Okay, so this is super helpful. It breaks down the two big no-nos, and this is coming right from CUNY's official policy. So on one side, you've got cheating with AI. That's basically using it when you're not allowed to, like submitting an AI-written paper as if you wrote it. Then on the other side, you've got plagiarism with AI. That's more about not giving credit where credit is due. Copying its words or ideas without citing it, just like you would a website or a book. Both are super serious, but it's really useful to know the difference.
So, with all these different rules and little details, it can start to feel a bit overwhelming, right? But here's the good news. It really all boils down to one single, simple rule that just cuts through all the confusion.
This is it. This is the number one thing you need to remember. Every single other rule, every university policy, it all comes second to the person who's actually teaching your class. They set the rules for their own assignments, and what they say goes. End of story.
And believe me, these policies can be all over the map. You might have one professor who thinks AI is awesome for brainstorming. Then next door, you could have a professor who has a total ban on it. Most are probably going to be somewhere in the middle. They'll say no to anything that lets you skip the actual work of thinking. So what's the bottom line? The only way you're going to know for sure is to just ask. All right, so let's say your professor does give you the go-ahead. They say, yeah, you can use AI. So now what? How do you actually use it the smart way without falling into all the common traps? How do you level up from just being a regular user to a real ethical power user? Okay, the first big trap has this kind of fancy name, cognitive offloading. But really, all it means is letting the AI do the thinking for you. You're offloading the hard work. But here's the catch. You're also offloading the learning. You end up skipping what's called the productive struggle. And that struggle is exactly where the learning happens. It's how stuff actually sticks in your brain. Next up, you gotta watch out for echo chambers. See, an AI doesn't actually have beliefs or opinions. It's basically a prediction machine. Someone calls it a fancy parrot, which I think is perfect, because its whole job is to just repeat back patterns it's seen. And a lot of the time, that means telling you what it thinks you want to hear. If you're not careful, you can get trapped in a bubble where you never hear an opposing idea.
And then there's this one, hallucinations. This is a biggie. This is when an AI just mixed stuff up. It will state something that is completely 100% false, but it says it with total confidence. And it sounds completely plausible. And you have to understand, this isn't some rare bug they're going to fix. It's a core part of how these things work. It's probably never going away.
So how in the world do you fight back against all of that? There's a skill, and it's called lateral reading. It's simple. Don't just trust what the AI tells you. The second it gives you a fact, your first move should be to open a new tab. Go somewhere else, a library database, a legit news source, whatever, and ask yourself this one simple question. Can anyone else confirm this? You have got to verify everything, every single time.
And last but not least, the absolute unbreakable rule. If you use it, you cite it, period. I don't care if it's a direct quote, an idea you paraphrased, or even if you just used it to get an outline. You have to credit it as a source just like you would a book or a website. No exceptions.
Okay, we've talked about the rules, we've talked about the tools, but let's bring it all home and come back to that really big question. Forget about grades and policies for a minute. Why does doing your own work? Why does it still matter so much? What's the real payoff?
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? You know that feeling when something is really hard and you're struggling with it and then it finally clicks? That feeling of difficulty, that's not a sign that something's wrong. That is the learning process. If it's too easy, you're probably not going to remember it anyway.
When you actually push through that productive struggle, you're doing way more than just finishing an assignment. You're literally building the muscle that lets you think for yourself. I mean, think about it. How can you be the hero of your own story if a machine wrote the script?
And really, this is what it all comes down to. Writing isn't just about showing people what you already know. Writing is how you figure out what you actually think in the first place. And if you outsource that whole process, you risk just living your life making little edits to language that isn't even yours.
Look, an AI can generate a million different answers. It can write you an essay, a poem, a line of code, whatever. But you know what it can't do? It can't go on your journey for you. It can't figure out your passions, or find your unique voice, or discover your purpose. That is a story that only you can write.